Local information for the greater Hickory Metro. It's First Talk with Hal Row, 1290 AM and 102.3 FM.
First Talk with Hal Row, WHKY Talk Radio.
Good morning. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Row on WHKY Talk Radio for the greater Hickory Metro. Joining us this morning, Mandy Pitts Hildebrand, who is I want to make sure that I get this title right. Is it CEO?
Yes.
CEO of the Hickory Metro Convention Visitors Bureau. Is that right?
Yep, the Convention Center and the Visitors Bureau.
Okay, very good. Nice to have you with us.
It's a mouthful, Hal.
You mentioned you really like the studio.
I love the studio. Like, I'm pretty much taken aback. I mean, to think I have been part of this radio station ever since you came on air almost 25 years ago.
Right.
And I was just reminiscing in the hallway with Jason saying, oh, my gosh, like, I took a sneak peek over here where you were sitting.
Did you come in? I didn't see
you didn't even see me when I saw you
I
talking
didn't.
at the Catawba County Schools. And I was like, wow. And coming in here, this is absolutely amazing. It's remarkable. It was very comfortable and cozy in your other studio. I enjoyed that for 24 years.
Right.
It's been great. But WHKY just continues to thrive and grow. And this is just a beautiful studio.
It really
Top
is.
notch. Like,
yeah, they call it state of the art, and it truly is. Now, we're still under construction a little bit. We still have some ceiling tiles that we need to put in.
I understand construction.
And some of these cords and all this will go away. But I think they made a good move on getting everybody in here and starting to use it as soon as we possibly could. And it sounds good, and I like it. It's very comfortable. You know what? I'll be, because this is us talking.
Yes.
I really feel like I'm very comfortable in here and can do a good job talking to people, because it is. It's just like hanging out and sitting around. And I think
exactly, yes. And look, you were exactly right. And I said, well, how much space do you have in here? He's like, well, I can have half a dozen people in this space.
Can have 6
and I think
people.
It's really great. A lot of times when you have musical guests
Right.
and they're here, I think this is going to be the first time you do that. I look forward to listening to it, because I think it's going to be a whole different sound. It was fine before, but I think
Right.
this is going to really elevate that as well.
Elevate, that's a good word to use for, I think, what's going on around here. And I got to tell you, I didn't look in here every day. You know, I kind of wanted to be, and then one day I came in and boom, it was ready to go. And so it is. It's been very nice for us. We're very pleased with it. At least I am very pleased with it. And we're pleased to have you here this morning.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite things to do in the whole world is to come here on First Talk.
You understand because you've just been through this with the convention center of moving up to that next level and state of the art, and with the screens that you have and with the amenities that you have where you are. You've just gone through this. So, you know, we're doing the year that was, and we're going back. You all had a revitalization and a upfit. I want to say it was back in 2003 or 2004 that really took it to another level. And I remember that.
Yes, 2005. I remember that
2005,
well, too.
okay.
I was with the city of Hickory. I remember being at that ribbon cutting, and it was a big deal. And the city, of course, in my role at that time as the public information officer was probably still my title back
Right.
then, or I had to come to communications manager. Same person, same thing. You're doing everything you can to tell the city's story to residents and beyond. But I remember that 2005. This is what I like to say. In 1997, Mr. Leroy Lale and a group of people had a vision for a convention center. Worked with, the cities of Hickory and Conover, started the Hickory Conover Tourism Development Authority, which we do business as the Convention Center and Visitors Bureau. Took a risk in 1997, and that is paid through occupancy tax and event revenue. No, your property tax is not going to pay for the convention center. 1997 happened, successful. So successful that in 2005, there was an addition, just like you were talking about. And one of the reasons for that addition was because as word got out about this facility, and the North Carolina League of Municipalities, which you remember me talking a lot about that back in the day, having all the elected officials in North Carolina to come to our community for their annual conference, that was a really big deal.
And that's because they're here, and then they go home and they say, if we've got a convention or if we've got something going on, Hickory's a great place to do it.
We want to
and
be
it
like
also
Hickory.
inspires them in their communities.
Right, and since then, that was the first time we'd ever hosted that group, ever.
Okay.
And I was on the city team that helped bring that group here, so I was in had a different hat on at that time.
Right.
But I was at the convention center during that entire conference. And so it's funny where the doors lead, where you end up going, in the future. So I can definitely remember that like that was yesterday. And they've come, I think, 2 other times since then. And they're on rotation to come in a couple of years. So that was 2005. It was very successful. So leading to that, teed up to where we are now, is we had a need to grow, and we needed to elevate the space that we had at the convention center. Beautiful, great space, but it needed to be updated. We had the opportunity to host some nicer events that needed to have a little better finish on the walls. We needed to lower the ceilings. And so that is all done in the 2005 renovation. Of course, we renovated the original part of the building, and then now we've got this other segment of the building that we added 46,000 square feet.
And you were not just raised ceilings in this particular case, because you had volleyball and basketball. So I guess you lowered some ceilings.
So we lowered some, and we made sure that there was at least 30 feet in the sports venue place. That can also be event revenue or events. It could be anything from, the Chamber's Women's Conference had a lot of booths there. Like that's where the vendors were.
Right. Okay.
Over the weekend, we had a big cheer group. So, yes, you have anything.
Cheer group.
We had
because they're
a dance
tossing
group
people
this weekend.
way up in the air.
That's
Right.
the
You got
reason.
to make sure that's safe. Right.
And our team has been talking. We were having conversations 8 years ago. I've been in this role over 9 years. And
Have you really?
Yes, it'll be 10 years in October. It goes really fast.
It goes super
But
fast.
I would say 8 out of the last 10 years, we've been talking about the next phases of the convention center. And again, so we're here now. So that renovation is complete, and we're very successful so far, and it's going to continue to thrive. I think this is already seeing the payoff, how it's going to bring in the future.
I was really, you said you were a little bit taken aback when you came in here. Yes, that's absolutely true. But when I visited your place, same thing. I was like, wow, this is state of the art. The screens, the floors, the color, the look. It's nice to know that people in the area are stepping up and moving ahead and thinking about the future. It really is, because I've seen that at your place. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about what's going on. And you know something, I want some inside info from you. I want some scoops this morning. I want some stories about the people who are coming here that we'll never know.
Okay.
Unless we're in there. More First Talk right after this. Good morning. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Row on WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Mandy Hildebrand joins us this morning. That's Hildebrand with a D.
That's right.
I make sure the spelling will have every time you come in. I make sure that's Hildebrand. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We're talking about visitors to the area. We're talking about a place where visitors come. I want to know a little something about the convention center, because I drive by there often. It's a great location. But I drive by sometimes and I'll see interesting things. It's like North Carolina cattlemen coming, or it was a variety. What's some of the most interesting visitors we have had that maybe we don't even know about here in Hickory? Because you've seen some. Maybe they're here for a day. Maybe now, of course, we know that we have different shows that come in that may advertise on the station. Don't want to mention anyone in particular. But they've maybe been there for a good number of years. I know that we have sporting events. We're just talking about a cheer event. What are some of the ones that are kind of interesting that we would never know about unless we were in the biz?
That's right. And sometimes you don't hear about things because it's not really a public event.
Right.
It's got to be specific. You've got to be a member of that association or something like that. But this weekend, I got several messages on my phone. What is going on at the convention center? Cars are everywhere. And that's when there was the first group, we had a national dance group here. That was fantastic. That filled up the new part of the building. And
now, when you say a dance group, this is dance instructors?
It's girls in competition from all ages,
gotcha,
from little ones to probably to high school.
And like dance and cheer, this is dance. The dance
this is one event that Sarah Davis-Jones, who's been on the show before, and I want to bring her with me next time to talk a little bit more about tourism and what we're doing to bring visitors here. But she was at a North Carolina sports or she was at a meeting
Okay.
in the for sports. And so one of her many roles is to really talk with these sporting groups across the country.
Right.
So she goes to certain events every year, meetings, and she was having a conversation with someone who has this national dance organization that goes around the country. So before our building was even built, before we just had the plans, Sarah selling our community and selling our convention center space, she said, yes, sign me up.
Wow.
So really that was the first group that we had a contract with in that space.
How about that? That's cool.
I was talking to
Before it
people
was even built.
before it was even built, and it's all about relationships. You know that, like, just genuinely saying this space is for you, not the everyday salesman doing this and that. It's like, hey, this space will be perfect for your group, and this is why we have the hotels. We have, a lot of local attractions to, for families to go to after the dance. There's just a lot of things to it. So there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle. But they were here this weekend, and it was large, and there were people from Virginia, Radford, Virginia. I said, I know where Radford, Virginia is. My friend Hal tells me all about Virginia, even though I know that's a little bit different from a little far away from where you grew up. But
it's right up the road at Blacksburg, Radford, all that area. Yeah,
I thought of you. And then Columbia, South Carolina, we had people from the D.C. area. We had people from all over as well, and people from the other part of North Carolina, like the Outer Banks. We had a group there from outside Raleigh. So, of course, they're having to spend the night in our area, which is great. That's the reason we bring in these large groups as well, because we want them to have an event at the convention center. We want them to stay at the hotels. And when they're staying in the hotels, that's really so great for our economy and our community. So that was going on this weekend. And on the other side, talking about two different complete opposite.
So that was just half
That's
of it.
half the building. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
The other half of the building was the North Carolina robotics competition.
Oh, was it?
There were 80 teams from across the state of North Carolina. These are high schoolers.
Right, yeah.
The Challenger, there was a group from Challenger there, because I knew some of the kids there. And then there was a group from the School of Science and Math in Durham, the one also in Morganton,
right,
and across the whole state. So those groups of students and their chaperones were staying in our area.
Wow.
There's so many people, there really weren't enough hotel rooms. So it's the good news is we have 2 new hotels that are on the way.
Right.
One of them hopefully will be done by the summer or the fall. The Home 2 Suites. It's right behind the Hilton Garden Inn, basically right there. So hopefully that would, if that was open, it would have been full over the weekend.
Gotcha.
So there is really a need. As we've talked about it before, and our last thing, our strategic plan was we need more hotel rooms, because as we expand our convention center, we're going to have larger events or 2 events or 3 events. So we want those people to stay here. We don't want them to go stay outside the county. We love our county friends and neighbors, but really a lot of people that are going to events at the convention center want to stay nearby.
Sure they do. Yeah, because you got, not only do you have the hotels right there, you've got all the restaurants in the area. Some of them locally owned. Some of them big box restaurants.
Right.
And we don't think about it. We're very fortunate because we're here in the area. And if we want to pop out to, you name the big box restaurant, and we want to do that for dinner.
Or you need to pick up a little sewing kit because the dance uniform had a rip in it. And you need, there's a place right nearby. You just go by to the big store to get it. And if you want to go 2 miles down the road, you can explore great downtown Hickory. You want to go 8 miles down the road, downtown Newton, downtown Conover. You want to get outside on the bicycle trails or walk the Hickory trails 2-3 miles away. And so there's a lot of things that we get to promote. So it's not far.
Didn't think about that. But I was thinking about the restaurants, because not only do you have those big box, you also have locally owned.
Absolutely.
Right up and down that strip.
Yeah.
Who are small businesses who are important to the area. And so when they come in, when you have an event like that, it does everybody in the area a world of good.
Yeah. So you're asking me so that was just this weekend, and
That's incredible.
there was so much. There's so many great things going on there, and so many. It's just great to see students thrive, whether they're dancing or they're at a robotics competition. It was just really fun.
Young
to see.
people making the impression on them. They think, oh, we had a great time in Hickory.
That's right, and they're going to be thinking about that the rest of their life, and hopefully maybe they'll move here and get a job and start a family here. You never know how that seed's going to sprout. So one thing you asked me before is like, what's the most interesting thing? That's funny. Yesterday we got asked the same question. We were doing a presentation at CVCC. That's a hard, like, yes, we've had all kinds. We've had a circus in there, which was open to the public, and I believe, yes, we had baby elephants staying in the back of our original side of our building, like in our, I won't say garage area, but behind the scenes.
Right.
We've had, actually, gosh, we've had
I'm thinking
weddings.
like National Association of Chainsaw Dealers.
Yes, we would like to have them here. We had some chainsaws there for the woodworking show. There's always chainsaws. That's a good group to go after. But we had this group.
See, I'm just thinking that there's so many different groups and professional organizations.
This was said yesterday. Hey, if there's an American Society of Guinea Pig Owners, let's have that association there. We used to have several dog shows too, sheepdogs.
Right,
Dogs. We had that
which was incredible. I never knew that, but we
haven't had those in quite some time. But that's been here before. But we have this local wrestling group that's pretty. They're pretty popular. They have a YouTube channel and they rent a space and they do a filming about once a month.
Do they really?
Yes. And I'm like, they're bringing a real wrestling area. It's just really interesting. So that's something behind the scenes that wouldn't be advertised because they're renting the space to do that as well. We have a lot of corporate events, a lot of associations like the mainstream ones as well. But this summer, we have some new things as well. Of course, our ROTC, you know what that stands for.
Sure.
We have them coming back soon. It's a group of young leaders in that field that
young
are training
leaders,
them.
there you go.
And to really, do great in this world.
I want to say reserve officer training candidates, but I'm not sure about that. I was just running ROTC. I know what they are, but I believe that might be the abbreviation. I don't know. We'll have Vince come in with a tricorder.
We also have a lot of religious groups that come. I could name about every different religion comes. It's a great, perfect place for a religious conference.
How very nice. Yeah. Hey, would be a really good area for that.
Yes.
More First Talk right after this. Mandy Pitts Hildebrand. I'm sorry, it's hard for me just to get to the Mandy Hildebrand, but I'm working on it. More First Talk after this.
WHKY Talk Radio, 1290 AM and 102.3 FM.
Good morning. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Row on WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Mandy Pitts joins us this morning. Mandy Hildebrand joins us this morning. CEO of the Hickory Metro Convention Bureau and Visitors
Bureau. It's a mouthful. I know it.
That's okay. HCVB?
The CVB, Convention and Visitors Bureau. Those are one of the terms that we use that are in our field that people understand really well, and a lot of people that work with hotel sales and event planning.
The CVB.
Yes.
There you go. Easy enough.
Yes, we're one organization, unlike anything else in the state of North Carolina.
And by the way, ROTC I got right except for the very last word. It's core.
But that was a hard question you asked. That we have so many events. I mean, it depends on people.
Hmong basketball.
That's what I want to say. There's two things I want to wrap up. Then we're going to get into marketing and all kinds of.
I want to hear about hotels too. But
and the hotels, well, obviously, that is our goal is to fill those hotels because just a reminder to those listening, and you have a very loyal following, so I'm sure they all know this, that, the hotels, I mean, we work together because our goal is to bring overnight rooms because like I'd mentioned before.
Heads and beds, that helps us pay for the convention center. As we just did our expansion and renovation. But I want to mention two things. We talked about the new space. That's 35,000 square feet. It has 30-foot ceilings. It has 8 volleyball courts. It has 4 basketball courts, and you can have pickleball. There's 12 pickleball courts. So since we had our ribbon cutting, I appreciate you and Ariana being there that day on November 25th. That was the Monday before Thanksgiving. The Friday after Thanksgiving, we had our first basketball tournament there. We had the Hmong basketball tournament, and that was part of the big Cultural New Year's festival here in our community, which brings people from Minnesota, Iowa, all over. And so there was a tournament held. Now, I'm pulling up some data right now. 1,500 people were in that space on the Friday after Thanksgiving. 25% of those people lived more than 250 miles away. And that's who you want. You want to get those because they're staying at the hotels and then they're going to pick up things at the big box if they forgot a sewing kit or something. And then they're going to go to our community and spend money, which is good because
obviously that's the purest form of economic development right there, tourism. And that's an example. And then we also, that's just one of the examples. We want to bring events that have hotels. This weekend, we just talked about the dance competition in the North Carolina Robotics.
Right.
They filled the hotels, along with, we still have people in the hotels that are here helping with Helene. And we do have that they're going to be here for several more months as well.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but since you did,
Yep.
has that been a big impact? Don't get me wrong. It's great to have the business. Bad reason to have the business, but it's a
Right.
great reason to have the business. Has that impacted folks who have come in and wanted to do a show, and you've had to call them up and say, look, we've got limited hotel space now?
Yes, and I remember that we did talk about this at the end of October when I was here, the last week of October.
Different situation, right.
But it was really more in, it was more rooms at the time, but we do still, it's made a tremendous impact on our community. Obviously, people are staying here and then they're driving to Western North Carolina to help our communities in need there as well. And like you mentioned this on the radio the other day too, I heard you say that we're going to be, it's kind of, people aren't talking about it anymore, but it's still there. Western North Carolina it's going to take years to rebuild that community.
Right.
And some things we're doing about that to help that area. So a lot of people are staying in our area, so that has made a big impact. But yes, we did have to ask one group that was going to bring probably over 500 room nights one weekend. We had to ask them to move their conference to this year. And
I'm sure that they understood.
They understood it. And that was just a week after the storm when we did that. But they understood, and we're going to greet them back here in November. So that'll be.
So you've had the Hmong basketball tournament, you've had pickleball tournaments, you've had all kinds of different.
And then some things I know that the Christmas show. It's the folks that just had the home and garden show. A lot of our shows on the weekends, a lot of them are public shows,
right.
and they bring a tremendous amount of people. Our Christmas show had more than 12,500 visitors in one weekend.
I'm going to tell you something. I probably shouldn't tell you this. It's probably not good that I let this out probably on the. But I don't know if it was the people or who was doing the marketing or whatever, but from what I've heard, that our Christmas show, the Christmas show that we have in our area right here, is really starting to gain on, and I don't want to say beating out, because you never want to do that. You don't want to do it. Offers everything that some of the bigger Christmas shows that we may be familiar with, has a wonderful offering, and is able to bring folks in our area a high-quality show without them having to leave Catawba
Someone
County.
told me that yesterday, too.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yes, that is extremely right. And
because I don't want to shut anybody else down.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's
you know,
friendly competition, but people are enjoying this. And this is a great regional event. It's bringing the majority of the people are probably 10 to 30 miles away. But you've got some vendors that spend the night. It's really, we've got vendors that spend the night, and we've got people in our community that are going to stay here. There's a lot of day trippers. When I was at the Home and Garden Show a couple weekends ago, that was put on by the same group that put on the Christmas show. I talked to several people from Charlotte, some people from Winston-Salem. So people are driving in for the day. Day trippers are really important as well.
We just need a good strudel dealer.
Yeah.
That way the judge won't have to worry about bringing me strudel, because when he goes, he brings me strudel.
Oh, right.
So if we could get a good strudel dealer here, Baker,
I bet
that's all
you
we
Jimmy
need.
or Kate are listening right now, and they're probably going to find that person
That
for you.
strudel distributor.
That strudel distributor. They will. But again, I always enjoy talking with you, and there's so many things to talk about our convention center, and I think it's really important that we talk about that. It is a draw. A lot of times my staff laughs at me, but I say it anyway. It's like, we are a destination.
Yeah.
Like that convention center
yeah.
is a destination. Well, I was say, I kind of compare it to the Atlantic Ocean, or I compare it to the Panther Stadium. It's like, it's bringing people to our community. So that vision 40 years ago, we have flourished beyond expectations, I feel sure. Talking to our current chairman a couple months ago, he was just shaking his head. Bruce Eckert, especially after the ribbon cutting, he's like, this is bigger than we ever thought it would be.
Well, as you were talking about it earlier, it really struck me, truly a symbiotic relationship, because the more hotel rooms you have, the more revenue you get, the more you're able to do.
Exactly.
The more you're able to do, the more people who come, the more need for hotel rooms.
Right.
And it really just start to build.
Exactly.
And none of our tax dollars.
Exactly.
It's all from that entity. That's why I want to talk. Is it okay to talk about hotels now? You want to move?
I would love to talk about hotels. We couldn't.
We almost had a hotelier here this morning.
We did.
Not feeling well.
So he's going to join us another time
Yeah.
for sure. But
I asked him not to come in.
I know our hotels, when the convention center was built in 1997, there was one hotel on that block, right? And now there's 6, getting ready to be a 7th one. In the future, there may be a few more. Plus, we have hotels, of course, across of the street as
Right.
well. We have 3 there that stay busy all the time. We have one beside the Hickory Furniture Mart,
Right.
which, Hickory Furniture Mart still brings visitors throughout the country and world to buy furniture. And so then we've got some nearby the next exit. So
When I
yes.
first moved here, there was the Ramada Inn, there was the Holiday Inn, and Moles was still, that was the restaurant you kind
Right.
of went to, but it was a fabric showroom or
It
furniture
was.
showroom.
Exactly
Really
right.
moving into a
Yes.
fabric. Big growth.
Big growth.
More First Talk right after this. I know we're running out of time.
It's okay.
We'll get it because we
Maybe
got
we
to talk
can go
about
into
branding.
second thought,
We
just
gotta
keep
talk about-
talking.
There you go. Good morning. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Row on WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Our guest this morning, Mandy Hildebrand, CEO, Tourism Development Authority, doing business as the Hickory Metro Convention Center and the Hickory Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau. How about that?
You got it.
All I had to do was look at the paper you had prepared for me.
It's okay.
You've
got it.
I got it right here now. And I got the mission and the vision and everything that we were going to talk about this morning. And we've done pretty good.
We have. Obviously, we usually go off track a little bit, but that's okay because sometimes there's little tidbits of information that other people want to know. We were going to have a hotelier with us, someone who serves on our board, but we'll get him back in here another time. But we've talked about convention center, we've talked about the hotels, and we've talked about the occupancy tax. And it's really important that people realize that this is a place for, that brings visitors, the convention center.
Right.
We need the hotel. So we're working in tandem all the time,
Absolutely.
helping each other. Our occupancy tax also, people always want to know sometimes, how do we market? Where do we get the money to market our area?
Yeah.
Well, going through with that occupancy tax, we have part of that money goes toward marketing, staffing, marketing, and marketing. And I heard you earlier today. It's like, I want to know where you're marketing to different markets. We can talk about that in a minute. Before we get there, one of the most exciting things that have happened in my almost 10 years there is we approved a new strategic plan in 2023. In that plan, 2 things really stuck out. We needed more hotels. Well, they're underway right now.
Right.
Also, we need a new visitor-facing brand. You know me. I love the brand. Love Life Well Crafted. Birthed that. Love Catawba County government brand. But it was time for there to be our own visitor-facing brand, and we talked a little bit about that in October as well. What has been approved by our board, and we are rolling it out as well. And so our brand is part of, it's a way for us to market our community to stand out. So I just, it's just lovely. And it's kind of really hard sometimes to talk about when you're on the radio, but you're looking at it now and all as well too, I see. But
Yes.
Our brand is going in tandem with our new destination guide that just went out last week. And I'm hoping that people will go to our website to check it out. But our brand, we had a lot of focus groups, and we talked about this again in October, but we had focus groups come together that are in the hospitality and tourism industry. We hired a firm from Boone to come help us guide this. So it wasn't me in the room. It wasn't our director of sales and marketing in the room. It wasn't our marketing coordinator. It wasn't our board members in the room. We had a committee. So we had different people that are seeing visitors all the time. And the thought is we need something bold, and we need something cheeky, and we need something fun, because that's who we are. And Visit Hickory. And when we say Visit Hickory, we don't mean just city limits. We're talking the entire area, just like I've mentioned before on the show. You say Visit Charlotte, but it's talking about the whole area in Mecklenburg County and beyond as well. So we're Visit Hickory, and our big color is yellow. And people are starting to adjust that. And why yellow? Because yellow is friendly, and it's fun, and it's warm, and it sticks out. And when you think about a lot of logos and brands in our area, you see a lot of green and blue because the river and the mountains. And those are beautiful, very great brands for residential. This is Visit Hickory. It's fun, bold, and it's talking about, hey, we want you to come here. We want you to come visit our place as a visitor. I'm watching your face as I'm talking, like you're looking through it. So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, I don't know these people on the cover of Visit Hickory, but they look happy.
Oh, yeah.
That gentleman, he's just smiling.
So,
and
Hal,
the
for
lady
those of you listening, of course, Hal is looking at our destination guide. So a little bit about our brand, and it's a soft rollout now. You don't do a brand, ta-da, here's the brand. You roll it out. And we are really working on rolling it out locally, and our big, we just have a lot of big goals for it this year that we're going to exceed. But our brand it's really hard sometimes to explain on the radio, but basically one of the reasons I want to talk about the taglines. So one of the things when people came here, people were listening, is we're all friendly. Oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, hey, Hal. Oh, hey, Hal, how you doing?
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey, gosh, what's going on? Oh, hey, Hal. Oh, hey. And it's like, hey, so everyone's friendly. But then it's like, oh, hey. Did you know that we have one of the last remaining historic covered bridges in the world in Catawba County?
I knew that.
But someone say no, and you say, now you know.
Now you know.
Hey, did you know that we have an art museum that's 81 years old, and it's the second oldest art museum in North Carolina? People are like, no. Well, now you know.
Now you know.
So it's bold and it's cheeky, and I only have a few minutes to explain it. But as you see this bright, hello, friendly brand roll out, it is to bring visitors to our area, which leads me to our destination guide.
Okay.
It was released
That's what I was
last
looking at,
week.
right?
Oh, I know, I got you all distracted on that. It's beautiful. Our team does a great job. We've developed it in-house the past couple years. They have been beautiful publications, but with our growth, it takes a lot of time and effort to do the destination guide in-house. And so we worked with a group that they're public relations, and they work on just tourism. They work with communities about tourism. That's their expertise. And the new destination guide is out. It was out last week. We don't have any paper copies of it yet, but I encourage everyone listening today to go to visithickorynorthcarolina.com or visithickorymetro.com. Find our destination guide and flip through it. As a local, you're going to find stuff that you don't even know about our community. And there's faces in there, people from our area that we haven't seen because we are growing, and it's just an exciting place to live.
Mandy Hildebrand,
and a great place to visit.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We got to say goodbye because we're starting the James Oxygen pass off right now to Second Thought with Chuck Boozer. Who's on the show today, Chuck?
Thank you, Hal. Good morning here. It's Tax Tuesday. Shonda Sandberry, who will be here from Stanley Tax Resolutions, and she'll talk about it. It's right around the corner, folks. She's really up on all this stuff, and if you're behind in taxes, she's one of the few that can help you get caught up, too. We'll also visit with Aaron Berger, Executive Director of the Neon Museum. It is here in Las Vegas. It's a tourist attraction, and sounds like this might be a lot of fun. There's a lot of little side things you can do here in Vegas, and here's one of them. We'll talk with him coming up here in the 11 o'clock hour. It's all on the way on Second Thought next on WHKY.
Great show coming up, Chuck, and this pass-off brought to you by James Oxygen, passing gas in Hickory for the past 69 years. Today's national anthem brought to you by Shuford Federal Credit Union, where it's all about you. Mandy Hildebrand knew that. She said, "What? Got to close it up. Got to say who brought you that national anthem." So nice to see you. You've been here after all these years. After all these years, we continue to have you. I know we had to cut you off. We'll get you back again soon to talk about all the great things going on. So much to talk about. Be grateful for what you got. Make it a great day.